Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derbies, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast. Excited to have you along for the ride with us this evening. Episode number 412 on deck. One number short of the one that I've been waiting 412 episodes for, just because we get to make all these jokes about 413 engines.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget, 2 weeks ago was Knoxville, so that made it
cool. Yeah. 2 weeks ago, you missed out. We had... Oh, no, it was 1 week ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
1 week ago.
Yeah, I wasn't here last week.
Did you have fun dumping fuel?
No,
I can't believe you got the race in.
No, yeah, oh, man. It was, you know what? I got to be politically correct about this.
Uh-oh.
Canandaigua was fast like it used to be.
Yep. I was talking about Weedsport, though, because that would have been... Weedsport was the night that... Weedsport was the night that we had the show.
Is a beautiful facility other than the track.
Yeah.
If they filled it with water and put fish in it, it'd make a nice fishing pond.
Okay.
But
okay.
We got there, and legitimately probably 18 inches up from the inside wall, 18 inches up, there was brown. Yeah. Everything else was black when we got there. So, not real fun.
It is what it is.
Is what it is.
I guess. So that's where we're at. But, yep, so we're trudging on. Paul Reynolds has joined us here in the studio. Excited to have Paul here to hang out and talk a little bit about making the trip up to Sandy Creek and getting heat win number one, right?
Yep.
First one and then fourth in the feature?
Yes.
With Mad Dog?
No Mad Dog.
Lie about it.
Sure, Mad Dog. Sure.
His dad didn't punch anybody, so it was a good night.
Great night.
Is that I don't even. Awesome.
Oh goodness.
Well, we got a ton of jumping off points to get to here as we work through it. The Unified Point Series had two shows since the last time we were on. Frankie Guy and Hardcore, they had a show since last time we were on. They're creeping towards their two crown jewels. The Labor Day Lockdown show is going to be coming up around the bend. We'll likely be talking to those guys next week, and then Final Confrontation is set for October. We'll be diving into that a little bit. Brian was we have lost everything. There it goes. We're back. Darren Brown celebrating a birthday today. Mike Ernst, Matt Ertman, pretty popular day for a bunch of the Derby friends around the country, so that was good.
I don't know if you've noticed, but Matt Ertman is into every business in the world at the moment. Like, he's got the trucking business. He has opened a truck repair shop. Him and another buddy opened an axe throwing facility.
I missed that one.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure at what point. At what point do you decide, you know what am I really missing in my life is an axe throwing facility?
Yeah, like I think it's like a restaurant, but like part of the appeal is like you can go and like they have like contests throwing axes.
Sure.
Like at the Renaissance Festival. Yes. Thanks, Paul. But that, and then he is also last year he started doing guided whitetail hunts. So I don't know when he's got time to do anything else, but pretty busy dude.
Isn't there a place up in Rochester that's kind of similar to that? Smash or something?
Have a Smash. That's Smash Room, I think it's called, where you can go up. You can tell them like what you want to break, and you go up there and they put you in a room, and you just beat the bejesus out of stuff. Really sounds fun.
Sounds like a good time. So I was riding in this morning or this afternoon, and I got some news that the new studio is coming together.
Sweet.
And this is a great opportunity to let you know, Brian.
Yes.
That we're going to move more towards what the Sirius XM formats are, like the NASCAR show. So we're going to need to find a way to fill 4-hour blocks now.
All right. I don't know if you remember once.
You just rolled with it.
We once did a show in Kentucky that lasted roughly 2 days. So I'm sure you and I can fill 4 hours.
I think we could.
I think that'd be pretty easy, bud.
But everything is under lock and key, so it must be a lot more of that stuff has been moved in there. I saw that the big desk was moved out, so I'm looking forward to getting
I was excited when he took me down, I don't know, a couple months ago and showed me where everything's going to be. And it's, Finger Lakes 1 has really done. I mean, like we came in here when they got the new, the new cameras and the new displays and everything, and just everything looks so good. And then Jim has taken it up another level with the new studios. So obviously
There's some new recording equipment in there too, so I don't really know what that's going to be, but there's going to be.
I'm sure he'll be back out on the sports tour this.
Well, those new tech cameras that were hanging around here for a couple weeks, they're going to have like a main hub for production, and they're going to be like 2 different sets, and some of the stuff is going to be based on those remote cameras, which is going to be awesome. We got a couple of those we got one of those that's going to get deployed here before too long. We just got to find a safe place for it to set up, because that's.
I've heard rumors about stuff like that.
Yeah, little by little, we'll get there. But Dylan Goodwin checking in, Frankie Guy's in the chat. So we were talking a little bit about Paul Reynolds joining us here. Paul's making the trip in, first heat win, and I think that's one of the few bright lights, the high points, as it were, from what happened up there. But Paul was able to make the trip, and you found it okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it was pretty easy right off 81. Wasn't too hard.
No, he might come in here today.
Oh, here, yeah. Yeah, well,
I screwed up.
yeah, Brian.
What'd you do?
Kind of told me the wrong floor.
I said wrong. I said second floor instead of third. I mean, I've only been coming here 5 or 6 years. I come walking up first, the guy the custodian that works here, I was talking with him, and really nice guy. And
He asked about you.
yeah, I said, I heard you got the elevator fixed. Yeah, but man, it bounces a little. And I said, what do you think? I said, should I take the stairs? And, yeah, you better take the stairs. He goes, but if you got stuck in the elevator, you can just do the podcast from there. And I laughed. I said, all right, buddy, I'm going up. So I got to the second floor and I looked. I'm like, must be I told Paul Michael to go to the second floor. So, I'm closing in on 50. So senility is probably setting in. So I apologize for that. So, but no, it's Chris mentioned Paul. Paul Michael is what I call him because I've known his dad literally forever, and he's Paul as well. But Paul Michael is one of the young guys in the area that run how many years have you been running now? 6, 5, 6?
10.
10?
Yep.
Get out.
Yeah.
Oh my
Started when I was
God, I'm
27,
old.
37 now.
Christ.
But he's had a lot of good runs. I mean, you got a third at Waterloo, your first or second year there, something crazy like that.
First year at Waterloo, I got second. Second year, I took third, and then I've been chasing it ever since.
And
It's funny how that works.
his dad derbied a couple times back in the day. Good builder, good driver. He had some health issues, so he had to retire. His dad's a little bit of a cheater, but we won't go there.
He just tries harder.
Yeah, he does. I will say once, and I'm sure he's listening, I won't say what car it was in, but I was out in the feature once at Waterloo, and a car that Paul was fairly responsible for helping to build, eventually a bumper got knocked off it. And strangely enough, there was this piece of steel, I don't know, 18 inches maybe, sticking out of the front of the frame, and I asked him, I said, how'd that get there? I don't know. It must have been an extra mount or something. But,
Which direction did it go? Was it across behind the bumper, or was
no,
it
it was into the
something that
frame.
There you go.
Yeah. So, but I've known Paul forever. He always stops when we're working at my dad's and shoots the breeze. And for me personally, the highlight of Paul Michael getting his first win, his dad was live streaming, went there, Facebook Live, and to hear the excitement and you could hear how proud he was in his voice. Mm-hmm. It was so awesome. Like I said, I've known Paul's dad forever. He actually graduated high school with my brother, and I've known Paul Michael since he was very young, and he actually we work together now. And to see that, to hear that, how much it meant, it really, it reminded me what Derby's about. Bringing a family together and father and son having a great day like that. And Paul Michael did a great job. Paul Michael is a very good driver, good builder. Just has some luck, man. It's that hometown fair. It's tough to get over. And I mean, Paul's traveled. He ran BMP last year, right?
3 times, yeah.
Yeah, when COVID was kicking, he went all the way down to Pennsylvania, ran a couple shows down there, done a little traveling around here. So he's definitely been out and ventured. So it was great to see him go out and pick that up. And then, and I believe Adrian Gilbert was in your feature, right?
Yeah, he took second.
Yeah, so I mean, Adrian Gilbert, we've talked about him a couple times.
That's Adrian's hometown fair, I believe, right?
Yeah.
He's a pretty good Derby driver. So, I mean, he was out there bagging around with some pretty good guys. So
yeah, I was excited to share the track with him.
Yeah. So it was great to see, like I said. So I asked Paul if he wanted to come on, and he was pretty excited. So
take us through it. I mean, it's so much luck is involved with it. Things have got to go your way. You got the heat win, which is nice to get that out of the way. And does that end up setting the stage for momentum? You know, once you get the first one, I know it's not the feature. The features have been elusive, but you're kind of knocking on the door with fourths and seconds and thirds and stuff over 10 years. Is this the beginning of good things?
I really hope so. That Derby in Sandy Creek was the first time. Most of the time I run, it's always like a one and done heat, and this time they actually ran heats for 4 cylinders, and I didn't think I was going to be able to make it back out in the feature because my car was pretty thrashed after the heat.
yeah,
And I put stock tires back on it, and actually I was with Zach Herman up there, and he said, you know, you going to run this thing anywhere else? And probably not. His car's toast. And he's like, you might as well bring it back out and try. And I went out there, and I got way more out of it than I thought I was going to.
How did Zach do?
That's a sore subject.
he was involved in the V8.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was
Okay.
kind of a disaster.
But no, so it was, and
The dust has settled from that. Just
Paul Michael, I like I said, I was watching his dad's live stream, and they'd actually put a van in the heat with him. And I mean, we've watched those vans, and I've called them. They're the new Roundback. I mean, those things are nasty. And he put some, took some good shots from that van, but also put some nice shots on it. So I mean, he had to work his butt off to win that heat. So there was definitely no gimmies up there.
were they taking a set number out of your heat, or did you have to get down to last?
So in the drivers' meeting, they said they were taking 2. And they did. They took 2 out of mine. The other guy, I can't remember his name, Jared West, I think. He was driving a Chrysler 200, a 2013. Never seen somebody put a car that new in there.
Why not? Do
That
it.
thing was a tank, too. He said that was like the 6th one he's ever ran. Those things are tough. I didn't think it was gonna quit.
The 200s. The 200 replaced the C ring. It was similar to what the Avengers were.
Yep.
Whoever was driving that van just was pedal to the metal the whole time. I was just trying to stay out of his way and make tire shots when I could because I felt it every time he hit me for sure.
Yeah, there was definitely, when you guys went to the far end of the track, you couldn't see as much, but I saw him, like you'd see him come across and then you'd see a car fly or you'd see a car really. So I knew he was, but I mean, we've seen them all over, and those things are just, and even the noses on them, I mean, they get packed in and then they're solid. And you can't do anything to the back of those vans. I mean, you could drive right to the driver's seat and it's not going to bother them.
Nope. Remember when Guy Raymond put Eddie Bello in the back seat of his van, broke the seat right off at the frame down at Whitney Point, and Mitchell Jock, he had that picture of a lease run wagon years ago at Franklin County Fair up in Malone. And the back of that bumper was even with your chin. Leaf springs just kept pushing the back up. It was fine. It never moved. That guy won the full size trucks with a minivan, the same van, 2 or 3 years in a row at Wheel Days. Remember that? This was back like 13, 14, 15, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, those vans are no joke.
What ended up winning your feature? Do you know?
Camry.
Was it?
Yep. James D-Cub.
Okay.
Yeah, James Dickow. Yep.
Yep. He had a Camry too. I think Adrian also had a Camry.
So does that? I mean, have you been looking for the next Camry since you got home, or does Dad have one lined up already, or
not yet? But that's the plan, is to hopefully find another one.
Going to the dark side.
The price of Camrys is outrageous right now, but
yeah, and that's the thing. It's funny you talked about the cannibalization of Derby. At work we have a lot of time to sit and think. And I was thinking about that, and it was after I'd seen you at work finally, and we got to talk a little bit. But it's crazy. Like when I started derbying, you bought a complete car, and now you buy a car. From a compact to a V8 to a super modified, you buy a car. Well, then you got to buy a bumper.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then you buy this, and then you got to buy, like, you don't get a whole car anymore.
Nope.
And it's derby guys that are selling to other derby guys, but man, they put the screws right to them.
yeah.
I mean, and I guess it's the free market system. I mean, guys know what it's worth, so guys are willing to pay. But I mean, it definitely makes it tough. I mean, and even and we've talked a million times. The compacts are really picking up. I mean, 20 years ago, there wasn't a compact.
It was a sideshow. It was an attraction.
But I mean, now they're everywhere, and I mean, great shows.
Candace ran hers again someplace.
Yeah, but I mean, and it like you've told me, because I've never, but I mean, we'll talk at work, and if I see something, I'll tag him. And he's like, yeah, that guy wanted $1,000 or that guy wanted $1,200, and I was like, holy cow! Like, I remember when I said I would never pay $1,000 for a V8. Like, I'm like, dude, I will quit derbying. I wish I could find a good car for $1,000 now. You know what I mean? Like, I could probably get a Vic for $1,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can get like bubble Vics.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not buying a 73 4 or 5 Cadillac for $1,000. I could buy a Honda ornament off a Chevy wagon for $1,000. I mean, it's crazy.
I want to hit on something real quick. Jacob Wood, he says compacts rule. Jeff Doberman with those, he's giving us a thumbs up. So on the topic of your Cadillac story right there, I wish I could find blah 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 blah. I was checking up on Trenton Knight. Trenton Knight's down, Virginia guy. Okay. David Klein, that group, and he wanted to run this. I think it was a Ford wagon for ages, and he was going to have to wait till David retired in order to do it. Finally got the chance to run it. And David didn't retire. David finished hung up on a wall. Trenton ended up getting the win. Jared Klein was second place, and Antonio Corral was third. This was all at the Rockingham County Fair. Josh Orndorff was sitting in the stands, watching as a spectator. And a guy sitting in front of him says, would you be interested in an old Cadillac? Out of the blue. It was a 72. It was in storage.
That's great.
It fell into his lap.
That's awesome.
And he posted a picture of it, taking it home. It was all covered in dust and everything. He had like 3 or 4 people messaging him for the rims that were on it for like a project car. Just like that. Just
who stuff like that happens to?
Brett.
Yes. yes, it does. It was cool though. I mean, it's stuff like that happens. And talking about caddies and stuff, Dave Early put a post up looking for 4 or 5 or 6 rear bumper mounts. Said I happen to have a couple, so he met me at Canada.
What was he looking for?
74, 5, and 6 bumper mounts for the rear bumper mounts for his car for Iron City.
For the Cadillac.
I'd rather not say.
Okay. 74, 5, or 6. There's 3 cars that it could be.
Well, I'll tell you after this.
Maybe I got it narrowed down to probably 12 cars.
Yes, probably. So he was there, and his son was with him.
We know it's not a Camry.
No, his son was with him, and was getting ready to. He ran Bath Saturday or Sunday. I'm not sure how he made out. He had a 60-something Mopar with a brand new Redline Mopar in it. Did you know Redline built Mopars?
Fueled by Haters had a video about that.
I saw the thing, but
Yeah.
I don't know if they've posted the video yet.
I saw I had a red line. I didn't know that it was a Mopar.
Oh yeah, I told Dave, I felt bad. I'm like, dude, I said I would have just met you in the parking lot. He's like, no, a friend of mine runs, so it's cool. And Dave is absolutely one of the great guys of derbies. Like he is just, you can shoot the breeze with him, and his son's a really good kid as well. And talk to them both, and so he's like, hey, look, this is my son's. He goes, check out my son's new Redline, and it shows him driving it out of the shop. And I'm like, is that a Mopar? And he smiled. He's like, yeah, it's a Mopar. And I was like, oh my God, how cool is that? So,
What were the stacks that were on it?
I couldn't tell you that. I was just enamored by the fact it was a Redline Mopar.
4 in a row turnouts, right?
I don't know that answer.
Almost has to be.
Think so? Mm-hmm. They're not in Minnesota.
Still, almost has to be.
But yeah, so no, it was cool.
Let's see. What happened to the bumper? What bumper was on the front of his car?
Paul's or mine? Or
Paul's, I think.
rear bumper off my 75 Cadillac.
No, that was that Chrysler bumper
Oh,
I
really?
got from you. Yeah, it was 70s
Oh,
Chrysler
yeah.
front bumper.
What?
Yeah, it was a front bumper that I won Waterloo with.
Oh, really?
Yep. And then
That has to be worth $700.
Yeah, that's about what I paid for it.
wow, thanks, Paul. You can leave now. That's okay. I thought it was one of the rear bumpers I'd sold you because I
No,
know
I
your
still
dad
got-
bought 2 bumpers from me.
Yeah, I still got both of those too.
Do you?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Real quick side note. Brett's going to want his bumper back.
Actually, I had bought from Jeremy, so I didn't realize that was, man, you junked that thing.
Yeah.
Holy shnikes.
Yeah.
Dude, literally, I was driving here tonight, And I'm like, man, he turned that caddy work, because them caddy bumpers are pretty heavy duty as well. But
Yeah.
not as heavy duty as the front of that. Holy cow!
Mark
That
said
is
that-
insane.
Mark was saying that Jordan finished 3rd or 4th, and it was 4-1s.
Awesome.
I also saw that if you're looking to, since you're in such a giving mood, and you're parting out your bumper supplies, the post has gone out for donations for San Filippo. I don't know if you saw that, and of course, the list is swelled to 1,000 names almost immediately.
Yeah, that's awesome. 140,000 is the goal this year, and that will take the total to 500,000 raised by the Derby World.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So of course, anybody. I was going to share the thing and I forgot to because my mind is getting wore out. But yeah, so everything's open. San Filippo. Paul Michael, you running anymore this year? You got anything laying around?
No, unfortunately.
There's still a full size in your backyard.
Yeah, that might be sold. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, you could knock the windows out. They got a pretty stock class down in San Filippo.
I got time, so we'll see. But I don't know.
If you can find something, they'll find a class for you to run.
Yeah.
Well, they're.
It won't be.
I run Economy. The one below me, I mean, it's DOT tires. You can have a floor shifter, but it's got to be a rod. You can weld the bumper on, but not like crazily welded on. I don't think there's sliders or anything like that involved. It's a really cheaper class. And actually, the last couple times, a newer Ford has won it. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. I've actually thought about running that class before, but we'll see.
When is that show? It's like October 1st and 2nd?
3rd and 4th. It's the first weekend of October.
Yeah.
All right.
Where my phone is. But
Well, we've got man. I love the fact that we're back on Facebook. Mark Benjamin's out there. He's hanging
hopefully,
out. With us
get well to Mark. He's dealing with a little bit of gout.
yeah, I saw that.
Went camping, and I just think he's getting old. I think that's what it is. Because Mark is a lot older than me. Somewhere around 11 days, I think it is.
It's helpful.
And you know what's funny? And I told Mark this. And again, Mark and I started out not real friendly, but Mark is a great guy and would do anything for me. I know that, and I would help him as well. But like when we grew up, Harold and Betty and Mark ran Waterloo forever. Mm-hmm. Like Mark was probably running Waterloo at 15 or 16. So, I mean, he had 4 or 5 years in before I even got my first year. So when I found out that Mark was only 11 days older than me, I swear to God, I thought to myself, dude, I thought he was going to be like retired. I'd be able to have to deal with him anymore. Like, can we get rid of this guy? Because obviously he's so hard to beat. But no, hopefully Mark feels better soon.
Remember when Brett was up here and he said the only reason that Mark turned out to be such a nice guy is because he got soft in his old age?
I didn't hear that, but I mean, we could go with it because, it's always good when those two get bantering back and forth at each other. So, yeah, that's.
Mark ended up going to Hartford this weekend, even though it was NASCAR weekend. Mm-hmm. I understand that to be the case anyway. Scott Plumshin made his debut as the announcer down there at Hartford and had a fun conversation with Scott Wallace. We were able to reconnect with for a little while on Friday, so that was awesome. And there was some examples from this weekend that I think parallel kind of the reason, as you alluded to earlier, as to the reason why the reason why Demolition Derby won't reach those heights that NASCAR is at. And it's because it continues to cannibalize itself. And the example, as we were talking earlier, about how the sport never lets anything get any further ahead than what the rest of the sport believes that it should. If somebody gets too far ahead, then they get too much this or too much attention or too much whatever it is, and the rest of the sport just reaches right up and cuts the head off of it. And we saw that kind of play out a little bit this weekend. And the example that came out with Kyle Busch in the news that he's likely not going to be returning to Joe Gibbs Racing, it kind of sparked a little bit of my memory. And it was a deal where when Kyle Busch got involved with a Truck Series issue with Ron Hornaday a couple years ago, and M&M said, we want a particular type of representation for our brand. And M&M's the Mars Group has sold a lot of candy with Kyle Busch's face on it. And when they took their logos off the car for a week, they essentially showed him, like, you're going to represent us a particular way. And in order to get up to that echelon at this point with our sport, it's not going to be what happened this weekend. There was way too many videos going around of the nonsense that played out in a bunch of different places now. And we've seen fights and we've seen all this other nonsense. And I understand that that's just county fair level. I get that part. But I still think that to an extent, if that's where the general attraction is, it's still going to be the general assumption that we're feeding into that mindset, and it's not always necessarily good.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, for whatever reason, the negative side of Derby is, I feel, what gets the most attention on Facebook. Like if there's a fight, everybody's going to put it up.
Yeah, it's shared 1,000 times.
Yeah, and everybody sees it.
But isn't that the nature of what social media is, though?
Yep.
I mean,
And that's the problem.
the negative stuff is the louder voice, no matter what.
And that's the problem. But and you know what? Here's the deal. There's fights in every level of motorsports. Every level. You know, I was involved in local dirt track racing for years, and you know there was always, not every weekend, but I mean there was disagreements, arguments, fights, the whole nine. You know, all the way up through. You know, and NASCAR the last couple of years they've publicized it a little more for whatever reason, but I mean it went on before. I mean, you know, when you know there's video from back in the day of Tony Stewart and Robbie Gordon going at it. You know, I mean it's not like, you know, and obviously the Cale Yarborough and Bobby Allison and Donnie Allison. That's one of the most famous motorsports clips in the world. But unfortunately, Derby gets known for that. And you know, I've talked before, and I've actually dealt with it with my own family. You know, my brother was never a fan of me derbying. He was always a fan of building race cars. And he's come around. I mean, he's happy for me when I have success, and you know, he knows I enjoy it.
Isn't he the guy that cut up 3 Challengers?
Just one.
Oh.
But, you know, and Derby is, but I mean, until, like, if we could get, you know, if we could get the CEO of Advanced Auto Parts or any major parts store to go to Blizzard Bash for a weekend and see what those guys do from the first night to the last night to get those feature cars ready.
Speedway Motors was there. Yeah. Remember Speedway?
Yeah.
They had the Derby.
And I mean, go to Bash for cash. I mean, you know, and this isn't any disrespect. This is the truth. You know, Bash for Cash is an Ohio build, so they go to inspection.
And King of Ohio has support from Jegs.
Yep. You know, you go to inspection and they find stuff, and a lot of these guys work for hours to get cars to where they'll pass inspection. And then when they used to run heats, you know, it was the same thing, you know, rebuilding a car for the heat. You know, and we don't get the respect. I mean, and there's, you know, all the fancy stuff that they use for racing. I mean, we use a lot of it for derbying. I mean, you don't think geometry or physics or so on and so forth, but I mean, pressurizing a car and bend points on a frame and, you know, all the other stuff that we do. I mean, you know, there's a lot of smart guys. And I mean, you know, when you know, take 4 cars and put them together and build one, I mean, you know, we talked to a guy in Kansas that took a Cadillac limousine, cut the middle out, brought the 2 pieces together, welded it together, you know, the whole 9, and basically built a car. You know what I mean? Like it's unfortunately, you know, for whatever reason, we can't seem to get over the hump and get people to notice the good stuff. And that's the worst part.
A lot of it also comes back to the ability to get the exposure, because the vulnerabilities and the variabilities in Demolition Derby as a whole, just to be able to condense that down. I think it'd be a rare day to get it put together for a live element. It has to be something that's produced and shows up on like MAV TV or Flow or on Derby Nation as a package thing before it's going to be able to get to mainstream. You're talking about Mike Brown. Mike Brown Promotions. They capped their point series this weekend. Cool. The Gut and Go champion was Tyler Killenbeck. He won over Zach Jones and Noah Lynch. Superstock points, Brian Brown was 295. Tyler Crook was 290, so squeaked that one out by 5 points. Bradley Job was third. And then in the compacts, Justin Lane, he won by a landslide over Zane Hegenrother and Austin Spada. Now, Zach Jones shared his trophy and offered all sorts of thank yous, and in the midst of all that, said that Mike Brown is going to be missed. Mike and Julie is going to be missed from promoting. So it sounds like this was the last year for them, and I didn't know that until we started putting the stuff together for today.
Neither did I.
So I thought that was kind of interesting to find out that Mike Brown, who's just one of the monsters in Kentucky, you know, and Missouri and all that loop out there, man, he was a terror when he was putting those cars together. Man, when we shut the microphones off, Paul, we could tell you some stories about it's stuff that we'd never be able to get into on the air because he would find us.
Yeah, he was is a hell of a fab guy, hell of a builder. Drives hard. Man, does he drive hard.
Go on. Finish it.
Are we going to talk about what he left motor parts on the floor?
We were talking about this. We were going to talk about the exact same thing. Go.
So we were to Heat. I don't know, first or second year we were out there, and it was just 2 teams of 4, and he always ran standard. Mike Brown always ran a standard. So they get this guy pinned in the corner, and I think both front tires were broke off the car, so it was low. And Mike was at the other side of the arena, and Mike kind of gave him the hands up. The guy wouldn't pull a stick. And Mike started, and I think he got the 3rd gear by the time he got there.
I'm sure he launched in 2nd and did a wheel stand on the way over.
The point of that 600-pound bumper he had on the front of it hit the oil or hit the water pump and continued into the block. And there was parts of engine laying on the track. Yeah.
When they carted that car off, there was pistons hanging out of the side. Like I felt bad for the guy. And Mike hit him the first time.
Yeah.
And backed up and kind of gave him a chance to say,
Yeah.
You don't know how this is going to end, but it doesn't have to. And the stick didn't come down, which, I mean, if you're in Derby, you don't quit. You don't let your team down. But, boy, that bumper did some damage.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was very – and then Mike actually had to get out of it. He had some neck issues. And
he shared some really interesting x-rays of what your neck is not supposed to look like.
Yeah, definitely. So – but, it's, and great – and it's great that they, Mike found a way to continue in the sport for – man, it's got to be closing in on 10 years since he hasn't drove.
Well, I think that, if I'm not mistaken, he was promoting while he was driving, too.
Oh, was he? I thought he...
I seem to think that he took over that Derby where he took that shortened car. I thought he had taken that over.
Oh, really? Okay.
At one point before.
Sure. I thought him and his wife started after he'd retired from driving.
I couldn't swear to that. I don't know. I couldn't say for certain. But some more news from out in that neck of the woods. Another Blizzard Bash celebrity, as it were, Kyle Puttawitter. Went back to the orange and black colors for Team Octane, and he got a win with Ben Leonard, familiar name, I'm sure, for the folks that followed along those wars out there. And I believe it was the 2-man extreme class. A couple of times we've seen Ben, and if I'm not mistaken, Team Iowa came out here with Ben. No, that was Ben Plate. I'm sorry. That was Ben Plate. Mm-hmm. But Sticks Up Sunday, and they won at Remsen, so it was cool. The fuel pump didn't want to work on Ben's car, but Kyle was able to bring it home, so that was good to see. I don't think it was a Camry, though. Checking to make sure that we got everything covered here as we motor through this. We still have some other stuff to get to. Why don't we regroup for a minute? We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. I'll tell you about... should be the Fab Farm.
Nope.
This is.
Jeffy's Fab Farm in Fredericksburg, Virginia specializes in all of your demolition derby needs. We've got you covered from bumper to bumper. Whether you need headers, shifters, harnesses, fueling systems, or complete turnkey setups, Jeffy'sFabFarm.com can help. We've even got a Canadian branch to help our northern customers. With over 16 years in the industry, we've got the knowledge and experience needed to provide the highest quality parts and put you in the winner's circle. Visit our website today or call Jeff at 540-907-3390. Fabby says the best parts come from the farm. Jeffy'sFabFarm.com.
Demolition Derby Life magazine releases 12 copies a year and covers all of the action coast to coast. For the Demolition Derby world, home of the hottest action motorsports magazine on the market. There's over 30 editions that have been published to date. A full year subscription is $119, and past issues are available. They should be coming out with another release here in the coming weeks. Make sure you jump online and follow along. Find out more about Lexi Joes and everything going on with Demolition Derby Life magazine on demolitionderbylife.com. RPM Group is a progressive waste management business serving nearly 4,000 residents and businesses around Owego, New York. RPM Group can take care of all your waste management needs. Boasting a fleet of 2 roll-offs and 6 garbage trucks, RPM is fully insured and ready to serve. Ask about asbestos abatement and surveys, interior and exterior demolition, private parties and foreclosures, curbside trash and recycling, all that and more. Click or call, ask for Corey, tell him you heard about him here at the Crash Course Nationals, rpmgroupny.com, or 607-223-8714. And the Unified Point Series was in action. Got some results here from Salina, Ohio. Trent Braun got the win in the limited weld windshield class for Steven Sickles. Trey Manger won the rear-wheel drive street stock. J.D. Lorene got the win in the front-wheel drive street stock mini mods. I believe that was with a compact, too, nonetheless. Mini mods was Corey Stoner. Andrew Davis won the pro stocks. And Berrien Springs in Michigan on the 20th. Limited weld was Jeff Heinen. Jeff Heinen got the win there. J.D. Lorene also picked up a victory out there in the rear-wheel drive street stock. Dustin Nugent and Jesse Cushaway, they were battling out at the end. Jesse Cushaway got the win there. Front-wheel drive street stocks was Stevie Hensley. Steven Sickles was second. Ty Richards was second in limited weld, so that helped him gain some valuable points at this point. Eli Ramsey won pro stock. Cody White won full-size motor swap youth class. Dalton Winterrod won the vans. And Kyle, like we said, Kyle Cushaway in the front-wheel drive youth class. So as we've been talking a little bit about this, let me double check and make sure we didn't have any surprises on the rest of that stuff. J.D. Lorene is out in front with 134 points. Steven Sickles with 118. Ty Richards is next in third with 68. Don Santel, Bill Miller, Trevor Jones, those guys, nothing changed along the lines for them. Scotty Drevenek still there in ninth. Jeff Heinen, 30 points, I believe, is what he's got to his credit. We did have, we were waiting on a formal update there, and it did come in to officially let you know how many points he's got to his credit. Somewhere in there. There it is. Jeff Heinen moving up. Yep, he's got 30. So that moves him up into 10th, and he's going to be seeing if he can gain any ground there. We've also got 9 more events left for the Unified Point Series at this point. There's a good look at the schedule right there. Hardcore is going to be the next one in line. After Oceano, we've got one more this month on the 27th. That's in Hart, Michigan, and then Labor Day Lockdown for Hardcore Promotions over there in Stoneboro on the 3rd and 4th of September. Then the 10th is Iron City Nationals, and 23rd and 24th of September is Derby Icons, and that sets the stage for the final 5. 2 of them in October, and then 3 of them in October. I forgot about Dead Man there at the end. And then Hardcore's cleanup show on the 12th, and then Coke Promotions has the Turkey Derby on the 26th. On the virtual unified side of things, we've got no change there at this point. Labor Day Lockdown is the next one in line for that group. Leaderboard stayed the same. The Realistic Derby Project RDP Team Rampage is scheduled to go off this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And then we still haven't got any news from Vito. I got to follow up with him. We've got for that Compact Carnage event. And then September 24th is the Street Stock Showdown, another one of Vito's events. Follow it along with everything on the schedule on the Unified Point Series, 527unifiedseries.com for additional details there. So at that point, we've got some other stuff to follow up on here. We've got, there were some folks that are actually kind of waiting for this conversation to come along. I saw sort of some ticking of the boxes, how many teams, or excuse me, how many promoters are out there in Western Pennsylvania. Eastern promoters, pretty full promoters too, actually, when you start kind of thinking about it. Mike Rawson, he's still promoting with J&J. There's a bunch of folks that are out on that side of the state. And there's a push at least somewhat at the county fair level to get all the promoters on the same page and get some unified rules out there. And this comes up every so often. And I just don't know if I see that actually happening and gaining steam and gaining the traction. You know, if you're hanging out in the chat with us, tell me where I go astray. Where we see that happening most effectively is where you have almost the super promoters, where they have 20 plus shows. Impact is doing that up in Canada. Smash It. They got 40-some shows. We'll go over some of their results here in a few minutes. We had a bunch of promoters that were trying to work together here in New York that had Bath, Unified Rules, Yates County, and they had Canandaigua. And it was okay to an extent, but at the same time, I don't know. I just don't see the promoters working across platforms as necessarily readily, because at the end of the day, it's still a business.
Yeah, we've touched on it before, and again, if people disagree, I understand.
I'd love to hear it.
I think Aaron Bunce Aaron Kasai and Mike Rice have a pretty good thing going right now. I know they're with, I think, Yates, Canandaigua, and Bath, and Chemung,
Mm-hmm.
which, two of them they do their own, and then the other two are with Total Destruction. I've heard that that's going pretty decent, but that's one of the few that I have. Unfortunately, in Demolition Derby, if you have four guys read the same rule, four guys are going to read that rule different.
Right.
And it's hard to get the same. It's hard to get in my humble opinion, it's hard to get an even playing field when you have different inspectors at different county fairs. If at County Fair A, it says you can have 6 inches. You can have 6 inches.
Sorry.
Was I off?
Yeah, you guys were talking during the commercial, and I never turned you back on.
Sorry. So what I was saying is, it's
so eloquently too. You're doing a great job.
Unified rules. The problem we have, I feel, their Derby has.
We'll catch everybody up real quick for what you were saying. Chemung, Bath,
Yates, Ontario.
Yates in Ontario. It's going well, but the hang-up that you run into is you got one set of rules that's going to be interpreted 10 different ways by 10 different drivers, and then you get to the inspection line, and now what? Go.
You go to Derby A, and it says 6-inch plate from the back of the bumper. So everybody's measures different, and amazingly enough, their measurement is what helps them the most. So you go to Derby A and go, yeah, but it's only 6 1/4 inches. I mean, it's not that much. I mean, it's a little weld, and it's not a big deal. And they say, okay, yeah, go ahead. Just when you come back next time, 6 inches, welds and all, that's it. You go to Derby B, and it says, no, right here, it says 6 inches, including weld. You got to grind it, you got to cut it, you got to do something. You go to Derby C, and they say, well, I can't let you do it. But at the car behind you, they say, all right, yeah, but don't tell anybody. I just got this guy. And unfortunately, again, it's part of the cannibalization. It's really hard to have unified rules when there's many different hands in the batter.
And that's the thing with the Unified Point Series, is the Unified Point Series has no
rules.
No rule jurisdiction. There's no.
They're just there for.
They're not there to litigate the rules or anything like that. The promoter pays in, and it's on the schedule, and that's that.
This year, earlier, I don't know, it was a couple months ago, Troy Tagg and a couple of his boys.
He turned 60, by the way. Did you see that?
Yeah, happy birthday to Troy. What a great life he's lived. But him and a couple of his sons and some other guys in California were talking about what it would take to have a unified rule set for California. And, and I think it was actually Troy that said, look, it's hard to get everybody to look at rules the same way. I've talked to a couple of people here. I mean, let's say hypothetically that Dead Man, Spinning Wheels, Coos, and Iron City say, okay, let's get together and have a meeting, and we want to get our rule set equal so you can run from Maryland to Pittsburgh. In my humble opinion, the way to make that work would be at each Derby if there was 2, 3, maybe 4 inspectors from each promotion that got together and said, okay, sit down and talked about, okay, this is how we're going to do this. How do you see this? And then, you could make it work.
Because you can have every rule meeting that you want, like what Smith Metalworks does at and they get together with that rule summit.
Yep.
And everybody decides what would and wouldn't fly at whatever different promotion shows, so that hardcore knows that these parts are allowed.
Frankie too hardcore. Sorry, Frankie.
He was even tuned in, and then you blew him off.
I'm losing my mind, buddy. I apologize.
But they talk about what will and won't be allowed in terms of the parts vendors and stuff. I think that's a big step, but I think it really would take something where you've got representatives from somehow representing all of that, so that you can get that in line. Because you can meet until you're blue in the face, but when you get off of that, no one owns that turf.
Right.
At that meeting.
No.
It's neutral ground.
Yes.
You get into your home throws of stuff where you see all the changes with purses, and you see all the changes with what promoters have to go through in working with the county fairs. Mm-hmm. You have to make sure that you have a show, and you're trying to answer that master that day, and then you have all these other factors. I just don't see it being something that happens at that level across the board. It would have to be one person somehow bringing it all under one umbrella.
I've talked to different guys about it. I think in order to have a unified, it would have to be Mark has an amazing thing going with the points. Now, if 4 or 5 of the larger promoters got together and say, okay, we're gonna, like I said, and throw Frankie in the mix. Say we're gonna run derbies from a series from, Maryland to Pittsburgh. Each promoter gets 2 shows. They would have to send inspectors to each show all the way across the board. Because you look at the successful motorsports series, and it's the same inspectors every week. They travel with the tour. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter. It's the same guy who's going to be looking at your car every week. Right. And that's in my humble opinion. We, back in the day, when Syracuse was still going. For the dirt modifieds, it was a lot of the same guys that did the week-to-week stuff, but they also brought a couple other guys in because it was so big they had to. But it was guys would definitely play in the gray areas up there as well. But you dealt with the guys all year, and give and take and so on and so forth. And obviously there's going to be give and take in all inspections. That's how it works. Sure. Except maybe NASCAR because it's crazy or whatever. But I don't know how you could do it. Unfortunately, a lot of fair derbies are put on by fair boards who only see derbies as.
Frankie guy's listening. He said commonality in inspectors and policing it.
Yeah. A lot of fair boards just see demolition derby as a cash cow. They don't care what happens. They want to pay the basic minimum, and that's it. Because it bankrolls what they do, and that's what hurts. I wish you could get fair boards together, but unfortunately, Chris and I have seen how things work at different fair boards, and sometimes.
And if you want your hometown fair to come back the next year, it's a catch-22 because they need to not pay you as much money so that they can fund the rest of the fair and come back the next year. That's this weird exchange, and I don't think that you will ever convince anybody that's ever been on the show in the last 412 episodes that they're gonna skip their hometown fair. They just won't do it. They won't do it. And as crummy as the payout, it's hard to do. It's a chance for you to be a hero in front of your family. It's your hometown fair, yep. And if you can pull down that win at your hometown fair, it counts for something, right?
I complain about Waterloo every year, and then I still bring a car there every year.
And I did it for years. And you know what? I love Waterloo. I really do. And I think Kyle does a good job. And Kyle's in a very unenviable spot. But like this year, we had Bob Epgar Jr. on, and he said, well, the cars were all built pretty much the same way, which is fine. You know what I mean? It's they got to a point where the guys that were all out there, and then go for it, have a good time. That's great. But a lot of places you'll see where cars are way overbuilt, running against stuff that's way underbuilt. Yep. And not only does that not make it fair, it doesn't make it safe. That's the bottom line. Everybody's, we've said it a million times, everybody's got to go to work Monday morning.
That's kind of how it was Saturday. There was some V8s that were really built, and then there was, like I said, they ran V6s with V8s that were chain and bang cars, and they were just getting smoked. Yeah,
and that's, chain and bang, I love chain and bang cars. Because they're the ones that there's nothing left at the end of them. They, you could come out with a street sweeper and brush them off the track. they get destroyed the most. I love that stuff.
That's what the crowd wants to see.
Yeah.
Too. They want to see cars fold.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to see one of them running against a Blizzard Bash car. I mean, it's just insanity. So, you know, I don't know. Like you say, I wish there would be a way we could do it, or Derby could do it. I guess I shouldn't say we because we're not governing anything, but no, it's just one of those things. And I would like to see it. I mean, like I said, I do a lot of thinking at work, and you know, I think it would be awesome to see Derby have a series, you know, that covers a couple states, and you know, like from April until October, you know, just 2 big shows a month or 1 big show a month or something, and you know, guys get behind it with money, and I mean, we see how well Mark Elliott's point championship has gone in the last few years. I mean, it's, you know, and obviously it wouldn't be easy to do, but you know, I think it would be pretty neat, and I think they could get a lot of people to follow it, but you know, it hasn't happened yet. Unfortunately.
Jake Sherman hit another point. Is the fairs are getting tired of the Derby drama, the fights, constantly being told that it's not good enough, and it's like when inflexibility means inflexibility, nothing good's gonna happen. The fairs aren't flexible because they say they need to put the money into hiring a promoter and paying for the rest of the fair, and the drivers say that they're not going to come back because nothing's fair, but then they end up coming back because you can't not run your hometown fair. It's a tough situation.
I mean, it's tough, you know, like Paul Michael says, you know, he complains, and you know, I ran Waterloo for most of my career, and it just, you know, I won it once, and it took me forever to get the monkey off my back again to do it a second time. But the second time, you know, both my boys were there, my parents, you know, I had a lot of people there to watch me. And it was easier to say, okay, you know, and then I did go back after that, but it was drama and bad luck. So it was sort of easier, you know, having my boys see me win once, and then, you know, it's a little, but I mean, this year, you know, I felt bad. My oldest wanted me to go, and, you know, afterwards watching it on tape, I'm like, man, it's still Waterloo. You know what I mean? Like, it still kind of hit me, but I'm like, it's not worth the, you know, and that's, I told Kyle, I haven't talked to him since he ran it this year, but last year, you know, there was a lot of drama, and I'm like, man, I don't know how you put up with it, but I miss it. I truly do. I miss running Waterloo, but it's just, I've, you know, I can't deal with it anymore, unfortunately.
Jake, we got to get Jake up here again sometime. I miss talking to Jake. He said that the fair board doesn't get a dozen calls from builders because they didn't win either. The promoter gets to field those. And Frankie Guy, he said it's worth an all Derby car try. It's worth a try. He'd rather try and fail than have it not work. And I mean, I agree. It would be fun to see somebody tackle it, but I'm not going to be the one. Real quick, we've got some more events to hit on here before we get too much further along. Fulton's got a 4 and 6 cylinder chain and bang, 1,000 to win, junkie run, 750 to win Saturday the 27th at Fulton. I saw some posters flying around today for the Lake Erie Rumble coming up on September the 24th. For rules and details, it's going to be King Smash'em Crash'em Derby over at Fulton, and then that's the Variety Kids benefit show at the Lake Erie Rumble in Chautauqua County. So those are both coming up on the horizon. Sunday, I don't know if you saw this, Mikey Kelly won the full-size stock at the Indiana State Fair. That was one of Toast's shows.
No, but Alex Vasco was there, and like the first heat, it showed somebody parked on top of somebody that had been rolled over. So I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of those.
It's kind of how they do things, right?
Yeah, that looked like a fun show.
You were talking to you were talking to the point of cars being overbuilt and underbuilt. Did you see the picture that Mike DeFishy shared today?
The one with the frame or the.
He said it was a gangster lean. Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Insane. Holy cow! Yeah, that.
Did you see it?
I did not.
He had he was in desperation mode, so when in doubt, feed him the cage. And they kept teeing off of the passenger side, and everything was in line except for the cage was pushed right out the doors.
Yeah, the driver's side was like pushed out like 15 inches or 18 inches out from the cage, pushing against it. And yeah, I don't know if you know it or not, but Mike's a little crazy when he gets in a derby car. So that sort of thing doesn't really bother him, but yeah, it's crazy.
And Larry Bucknam, he won the one and done bone stock feature up in Vermont.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that was
Saw that as well.
that was exciting to see. We do have a few more things to hit on real quick before we get out of here. So let's get this queued up, and I'll tell you a little bit. Hardcore wrapped up the Washington Warzone event on the 19th. They do have a couple of shows left on the schedule. Hobby Stock was James Vandermeer over George Barkas. Rod Pattinson got the win. Hammer Awards to Brandon Corwin and Justin Yeager. Hardcore Compacts, Ricky Yeager got the win there. He's had a good year with Hardcore. And they do a final confrontation. They do their championships. And Smash It had that. I think it was the I-70 championship for a while. And there's some other championships series that go around. But I think Ultimate Derby had one for a period there. And then Candace had that as well. Hardcore Tour is going to head into the Crown Jewel Labor Day Lockdown in Stoneboro, Pennsylvania, the 3rd and the 4th. Hobby Stock, Youth Compact, Street Stock Compact, Minivan and Truck, full-size trucks, and Power Wheels on the 3rd. And then the 4th is going to be the Youth Full-Size, Hardcore Limited Weld, Hardcore Compacts, full-size Bone Stock, and Power Wheels. They're going to be in Dunbar for the next two events after that. The 6th and the 7th is going to be the Route 40 Rumble. On the 6th is the Hobby Stock, Youth, and Street Stock Compacts, and the Power Wheels. And then the 7th is going to be the Hardcore Limited Welds, the Hardcore Compacts, and Power Wheels. Then the one that everybody's been waiting for, back in Dunbar, October 1st and 2nd, the final confrontation. The October 1st date is going to include the Hobby Stock Last Chance Qualifier, the Youth Compacts, the Weld Compacts, the Youth National Championship, and that's where all the youth cars are qualifying from all over, the full-size Bone Stocks. October the 2nd is the Minivan, SUV, Heat, the Street Stock Compacts, the half-ton trucks, the Hardcore Limited Weld, the Hardcore Compact Championship, and then the Hobby Stock Championship there as well. I think they got a 70s wire class and a ladies-only event scheduled for October the 1st. All the details are online, hardcorederbypromotions.com for that one. And we've got the Iron City Nationals coming up on the 9th and 10th of September, 7 o'clock start time on Saturday. Stock Compact, two-man Extreme Class, Big Wayne Heat, and the first of the three Street Stock, I keep saying that, Super Stock feature number 1. Pits open at 8 a.m. on Friday, Saturday the 10th, 6 o'clock start time. Power Wheels, Most Wanted, Fine Art, Street Stock Class, Full-Size Youth, and then the other two Super Stock Heats. The event is going to be held both days, New Alex Lions Club, 1874 Lions Club Road in New Alex, Pennsylvania. Super Stocks, all three are going to be one and dones. 10,000 win in a championship belt, so there's 30,000 just in first place money right there. Big Wayne, it's full too. There's no open spots. You're going to have to beg, borrow, or steal one. Big Wayne heavyweight class, 2,500 in a championship belt. Two-man extreme class, 2,000 in a championship belt. Street Stock class, Street Stock Compacts, 1,500 in a championship belt. Most Wanted, Fine Art, Street Stocks. Oddball cars is what's supposed to be there, but I think they've got some attention. 1,500 to win and a trophy in that one. Youth full size, 700 plus a championship belt and a fresh 98 to 02. Find out rules and entry information online at www.ironcitypromos.com. And then the county fair schedule for Smash It continues to march on. Portage County is the 23rd and the 24th, and then they round out the month with Allen County and Dark County. September 4th and 5th is Stark County. Only one date in September this year. Then they move into the final rundown. October 1st was Coshocton County, and then Fairfield, the two-day show. Preble's fall shows on the 15th as well, and then the annual fall cleanup show at the Fayette County Fairgrounds will round that out. Boyd County results, Street Stock full-size, Devin Thomas won that one, and Street Stock Mini, Carl Doddridge won that. Lucasville swept Victory Lane. 18th of August, Henry County, Caleb Joy won that one. He's from Grelton, and then the Pro Stock Mini. Gavin DeGrans, he's from McClure. Lucas Hesterman won the Street Stock full-size from Napoleon. Street Stock Mini classes, Trey McLaughlin from Elgin, Michigan, and Kylie Roberts from McClure. And then the Farm Trucks was Luke Paul from Hogate. August the 17th was Miami County. The Pro Stock winner was Chandler Napier from West Alex, Ohio. Pro Stock Mini, Eric Wogelman from Pequa. Street Stock full-size, Larry Zorns from South Charleston. Street Stock Mini was Doug Lewis from Urbana. For additional rules, classes, upcoming events, and entry information, jump online, visit smashitdemolitionderby.com. So that brings us around to a couple other final things that we wanted to hit on here. As we're reaching the top of the hour, we're going to probably go over. Jason said bull rider. I'm not 100% sure if I caught what exactly that meant when I said that he should come up here. I don't know if that was like supposed to be negative ghost rider or what that was, but we'll go with it. Billy Bash, I don't know if you saw this. There was a mistake. They went back through the lap scoring, and Ron McClung, the figure eight main, the win was given to Josh Beachney, and the actual winner was Chris Knight. They did a trophy exchange. Chris received the first place trophy, and Chris was given the first place money as well. Josh got to keep his winnings. But he did turn over the trophy, and let's face it, it's nice to have that trophy in the living room, right?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
But I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, it's not something that you'd necessarily see that somebody's going to go
happen
back
very
through it. It doesn't happen very often at all. Nope.
Did you cover everything?
Alan McNeil was checking in. He said, "Great show again. Appreciate that." So there was a post being shared a lot over the weekend. I saw Steven Sickles was sharing that as well. I liked what he was saying. It was interesting, so I'll throw it out there so you guys can chew on it on your own. 16 teams of 6, single elimination, team versus team all the way through, so it's head-to-head the whole way. Bracket draw live. It's going to get rid of the politics. It's going to keep aggressive driving, and it's going to be exciting for the fans. What do you think? Is it going to work or not? 16 teams of 6,
Yeah,
single elimination,
it's Blizzard Bash.
teams of 4 in Blizzard Bash.
Well, basically, it's Blizzard.
You're adding 2. Head-to-head the whole way. And you do the bracket draw live. It's going to keep down on the politics. The bracket draw live, when you have 16 teams of 6, it becomes the draft. So you're going to have people that are going to be excellent builders that eventually are going to cross somebody that you know. I mean, how many times have we seen the draw give us 2 Iowa teams or 2, Missouri teams or whatever happens along those lines? Minnesota teams bump into each other. So and nobody's going to lift for one another. But I don't think that you're ever going to fully escape the politics, whether it's a live draw or not.
No, because I mean, we've seen the live draw, and then the next day we hear about the politicking. I mean, I'm good 6 on 6, let them roll, but I don't think you'll ever, when it gets to feature time, there's always a list.
Well,
always
the battle line is drawn at Blizzard Bash usually with how the cars are pulling in.
Yeah.
Because nobody's hitting anybody at the start.
No.
We've seen plenty of team shows all over the country where the battle line is drawn at the start. Nobody hits anybody until everybody gets where they want to start. Then the derby begins.
Yeah, and then it's haymakers until there's nothing left.
Which is fun.
Oh, yeah, I love that's my favorite.
I mean, I remember Blizzard Bash features that we look at this thing, it's like, man, we're going to be here for an hour and 20 minutes, 40 minutes, everything's smoking and everything's done.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's amazing. But no, I was reading some of the same thing. I think it's got like 400 responses or something crazy. Like when I looked at it the last time, I think it would be neat.
I think it'd be worth a shot.
Yeah, I'm up for anything like you said. I mean, it's
I don't know if it being single elimination. I think that's where the hitch point is going to be, because it would be a monster chore to fix 6 cars. It's already a mammoth undertaking to fix 4.
Yes.
To try and run that through in one day on single elimination, I think that's going to change the pace dramatically.
So is it going to? Would there be a feature with the
16 teams?
So would it be an 8-team feature?
It's single elimination. So you're head to head, but it's single elimination. If you lose, you're done.
Oh, okay.
So 16 teams start.
So
8 teams are eliminated. So then we have
4 teams
8 left.
and 2 teams.
And then at that point, you're going to get down to your features. So you're still going to have some repair time in there, but there's no Consi or B main or anything.
Man, it would be tough. It would be very tough.
I think it'd be fun to see, but I think it would be tough to keep the pace up.
I was going to say, thinking about it, it would. Yeah, I think pace would probably.
I like the premise though. I think there's something to be had there, and we've seen that head-to-head thing work at Blizzard Bash, and it comes down to one of those things. Depending on the rules that you've got kill or be killed. We've seen those head-to-head deals where they get after it quick, and it's the team that can organize takes.
Like you said, I think it would affect the pace, because those guys know that well, they both, if you win, you run the next day, and if you lose, you run the next day. So, I mean, they know they're going to have 12 hours, maybe 14 hours to put a car back together. You're not going to have
Topeka.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have that here. You'd have,
all or nothing.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting. I mean, I would hope that they would drive hard, but
I think that'd be the biggest issue.
And if it's big money, I mean, money's, unfortunately, in most places we've seen, money slows pace. So
Paul's already thinking about what he's going to build.
I was just thinking about, like, people aren't going to have cars left by the time they make it to the feature.
Not with a light build, no.
No.
No, you could. I don't think you could do Blizzard Bash Limited Weld.
No.
Even. I don't think it would be. I don't think there'd be enough there
No.
unless you gave them more time to fix.
Yeah. I mean, you could do fix-it plates every round, but I mean, after a while, you're going to be stacking fix-it plates. I don't know. It would be interesting. It would have to be. I would think it would have to be a heavy build, no matter what the class was. I mean,
Steven's listening. Steven it would have to be a multi-day show. I'm
Yeah.
sure that you would have to have.
Start on a
I almost
Friday.
think that if you're going to have those 3 rounds, it would almost have to be a 3-day show.
yeah,
It would give everybody a chance to fix what they
yeah,
had there.
yeah. Well, maybe Steven, retires from winning derbies every week because like it's his job to promote. And I mean, it would be cool to do, but no.
Is that what he's going to do if he wins with his points winnings this year?
Second points winning if he gets it. I don't know. We'll probably see him at Iron City Nationals if we happen to be there. We could probably talk to him.
Probably.
Probably. Interesting.
I really like the premise. I think.
Okay, if you're listening, Steven, what rules?
Oh boy,
What, I mean, it would have to be a heavier build. So,
bone stock minivans.
all right. In that case, I'm sending Chuck Bowman. Somebody's gonna get harder than they've ever been hit before.
I don't know.
The answer?
No, not yet. No.
He's probably busy building his 4 cars
Yeah, right.
next week.
Well, he there was some really interesting stuff playing out with the points. Like he was on his way with a car to Ohio, but he had already won there, so they were able to put that car in his pocket, and he took it up to Berrien Springs.
Yeah.
So it
Didn't Mark have a post of like this guy was going here, then this guy was going here, and then
Yeah,
they
they-
changed and went there?
they
and
ended up going back to Tony Godwin's place
Yeah.
and making the car legal for Berrien Springs.
Did it was Tony, right, that's got to have back surgery and is considering.
I didn't get into that until we knew for sure what was going on.
Okay.
I had heard that.
You saw the post. Did you see the post?
I didn't know that had come. I didn't know that had come out. No.
There was a post a week or two ago, I believe, that said that. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about it afterwards.
Okay.
But I think
Probably
there was.
why.
I'm pretty.
Steven's still there. It would have to be pro stock, compact, or full size.
So like comparable to Iron City National rules.
Within the realm of pro stock, it can mean different things to different people, but I can see where. So that your car is going to be light enough to where you can disable somebody else's car and still have something left along the pro stock lines of things,
Yeah.
like the super stock stuff and that we see in Pennsylvania. It'd be interesting.
Yeah,
I think it'd be, and then get a good venue. Get some place that you know you're going to have the space to let everybody spread out and do the work, and boy, it would be something.
It would.
I mean, with 400 comments on the post, I'm sure that other people
There was a boatload. I can't remember. It was a week or two ago, maybe Steven had that post up.
I saw that it had gotten shared today, and it just was something interesting that
Yeah,
I
it was
thought
pretty
that-
neat. I think it was like a
Now
week.
that we're back on Facebook, everybody can tell us how dumb we
How
are.
awesome is it? Chris Marcourt coming to the rescue again. So happy to be back on Facebook because Chris is the man. I thanked him last week for getting it fixed.
People really do get tired of that.
Do they?
Yeah,
That's okay.
they get tired of.
That's okay. Send them my way. But yeah, back on Facebook, so that's great because we really enjoy the being able to go back and forth with guys and gals in the chat room and so on and so forth. Did you see that Devin Germain snuck out and ran a van over the weekend?
I did. I also saw that they were busy spending money buying cars.
Yeah. Did they just sell a whole bunch of cars?
That's how they got the money to buy cars.
Just checking.
How'd the van thing go?
He won, of course. But no, hello to Devin and Christy. We haven't heard or talked or seen them in quite a while, so things appear to be going well in Canada. Apparently, the
stuff
snow is
going on.
all finally melted. So
They've got to, what?
the snow is all finally melted.
Gonna
in
start
Canada.
flying again in a month.
Yeah, I know it's gonna be snowing up there this week.
They're gonna be busy the 9th and 10th. They're not gonna be able to make it down.
Well, it's too bad.
Yeah, they got a show. They got a couple shows if I remember right. But in any case, they had a chance to run the van, and they also bought a very nice New Yorker. Yeah, that black one. They
Somebody else
said no
bought-
chance.
Oh,
Richard Gomat,
yeah, you got the Imperial 74 Imperial.
first time in 30 years he's had an Imperial. Come on, that's not possible.
He's had every Mopar in the world.
Maybe it was specifically the 74. I don't know, but
Did you see that Dale Randall picked up 2 smoking shockers? Oh my goodness.
Whose name do you put on those bumpers?
I don't know, but they're beautiful. Like they're both could be road cars. Very just. Oh goodness.
Guess what?
You're gonna be junk.
They're going to be inside out.
Dale gets after stuff.
He's had a great year,
Yeah, yes, he's had a really good year.
and he's been able to get stuff that can hold up to his driving style, which is a big
Dale's a
step.
fun driver to watch.
He's a lot of fun.
Fun to watch. So
You ever seen Dale?
Nope.
Dale drive?
Nope.
You'll do it one time, and you'll realize that's not a guy to make upset.
he gets after it pretty good.
He'll give you that look. You know that you can only make that guy a little more mad.
Feel like a Chuck Bowman, just one end of the track to the other.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah.
He is fun to watch. He flipped a car at
In the relic class,
was it the relic
No,
class or was it it was the 70s class?
wire.
70s wire class at
and I
Bash.
took it and finished second. Was it second? He finished second to Mark with that car, right? At
Yes.
Road Rage,
Yeah.
and
I saw
used it up.
There was nothing left.
Yeah. I think there was a Grand Fury too, as well.
Good news for him though. I mean that's good. He
Yeah, two beautiful cars. So
awesome. Well, we covered a lot.
we did. It was a good show.
Appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us for a little while. Anybody that you want to make mention of that before we let you go?
I just want to say thanks to my dad and Zach Wessig, Nate Combs, and CNC Auto for always putting work into my cars.
Real quick, tell the story about how you found out you were going to run that derby.
I wasn't even in New York State at the time. My dad called me. I was in North Carolina getting lunch, and he said, "Hey, there's Derby. This is Thursday in the afternoon." I was planning to leave to come home Thursday night, and he said, "Hey, there's a Derby Saturday. Me and Zach Westig fixed your shifter because I broke that at Waterloo." And he's like, "You want to run it?" And I'm like, "I guess." So I got home Friday, took the car to CNC and fixed the rear end because the rear end of the body ripped off the frame. I've never seen that happen before, but so we folded the frame up and tucked the trunk lid over it, and that was it. Took it to Sandy Creek Saturday. So I'd been back in New York less than 24 hours, and I was on the way to a Derby.
It's awesome.
At least it was close to home.
And then he went to work that night.
And then I worked that night. It was a
So
long
when I
night.
came in the next morning, he was just about asleep standing up. So I thought that was a pretty funny story.
It's fine. It's all fine. It's all fine. Well, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks for inviting us into your home to watch this one from Facebook or on YouTube here on Finger Lakes One. That's going to do it for this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast. We should be back on Monday next week. No, we are not going to be going to the 4-hour format. However, certain I am that we could fill that. That would be quite the dedication to do that. Maybe we've been close before.
More than once.
On the shows that spill over and run a little bit long. Appreciate Paul coming in and hanging out with us for a bit, but that's going to do it for this one. We'll catch up with everybody again next Monday.
The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLinks1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.